Hello and welcome to the Gestaltist. This is part 5 of our account-based marketing intro series, all about account-based marketing. Part 5 is about sales outreach and the cadences that we use when we're doing outreach. So just a quick look back, part 4 was all about targeting and retargeting and about the content creation that we have to create, the content creation we have to execute on in order to make this come to life, in order to be able to execute on the account-based marketing strategy. So the first thing I want to talk about is the sales cadence. What is a cadence? What does this look like? So in the last one, we talked about targeting and the halo effect we're trying to create, where we're showing the ads, the content. We're really reaching out to them from a marketing perspective. Marketing may be reaching out on all other aspects, from webinars to events to the standard advertising, all different ways that marketing's reaching out. But the next step in that, as marketing's taking that sort of action, is to go through the list and take the sales action. Somebody actually has to reach out to them and really get in front of the target audience that you're going after. So what does that look like? Most companies put together some sort of sales cadence that they follow. By far, I would say the leader in this space is SalesLoft. Lots of amazing content with SalesLoft. If you go look at their SDR process, download their ebooks, they by far have amazing content, even deeper than this, around the numbers and the details and the software to support the cadence. Another way to do this, the way that we do it, is HubSpot. Again, these are two different tools, different price points. With HubSpot, we have sequences. So if you upgrade to the sales professional version of HubSpot, which is very inexpensive, you get sequences, which is a different, kind of a lighter version of what SalesLoft does in some respects. Well, what is a sales cadence? It's really the steps that you're taking to get in front of the person in that target audience, in that list that we built during the data mining portion of this. It's the interval. When are you going to get in front of them? So is it you're gonna email and message them day 1, day 2, day 5, day 7? What does that cadence look like? What are the intervals in which you're going to be reaching out? It's the content around the cadence. So once you set those intervals, what are we sending them? What are we emailing them? If they don't answer, are we leaving the voicemail? What is the voicemail script? If they do answer, what does the sales script look like? Are you trying to drive them to a scheduled meeting? Are you trying to go meet them in person? What is the content that you're sending? Is it an ebook? Is it being very giving at the beginning of the process? All kinds of things around that content with the ebooks. And then again, kind of the content and messaging come into one, depending on, content. I think of more ebooks, white papers, case studies. Messaging is what are you really saying when you're sending that or getting on the phone with that person. So you really want to come up with that sales cadence that you're going to follow on a day-to-day basis. And in order to execute on this, you need the right tools to ensure that this is getting completed, whether it's a SalesLoft, a HubSpot, or custom-made cadences, manual, whatever it might be. You want something that really reinforces that. After the sales cadence, just to go back here, after the sales cadence, we really get started. So I'm going to walk you through a hypothetical cadence, some things that we like to do. One of the first steps we often do is make the LinkedIn connection. So when we take that segmented list that we talked about earlier, let's say that your organization takes lists, and when they build it, they take everybody in a certain industry and they give it to a sales rep. So maybe it's industry and geolocation. So a rep has all hospital and healthcare contacts in the Northeast. That's their territory. That's their industry they've gotten really good at. So we give them that list. The first thing that they're going to do with that list is they're going to go out on LinkedIn and they're going to make a connection request. There's some reasons that we like to do it this way. Some people just go right for the sale, go right for the meeting, but we really like to build it up by making that connection first. When we make the connection, that gives the ability for people to connect back to us, and it gives it a little bit of time. Once we make that connection, it gives them time to respond. and get back to us, and we can send some messaging like, oh, thank you for connecting. It's not an immediate sell. Now, the next thing we look at is what is the content that we would like to send that person. So we have that content matrix that we came up with. We really like to give people value before we ever ask them for something. Again, in prior sections, I told you about, when you make that connection, somebody immediately like, hey, I want to sell you something. Do you want to do business with us? I don't really like that methodology because I don't know who they are and there's not enough trust there. So what we do is we take something from our content matrix and we want to give them something that's relevant and helpful. Maybe it's a case study. Maybe it's a playbook. It's something that we would perceive or hope that they would perceive is valuable to them. So when somebody connects back to us, the messaging may say on LinkedIn, hey, thank you for connecting. Please let me know if there's anything I can ever help you with. By the way, here's a playbook on X content that might be helpful for you. Now they have this playbook, they can read through it, and hopefully they have one great takeaway for their organization. We're not really asking for anything. We're giving first. So that's what we like to do, but we're pulling from that content matrix that we talked about in prior areas. And the next thing is you can send messages around LinkedIn. Some people try and set the meeting from LinkedIn. A lot of people like to make the phone call. So you are going to get into an eventual part of the cadence where you actually have to set the meeting. So you're going to call them or send a message on LinkedIn or both in order to set that meeting. Hey, I hope you liked the playbook. Wanted to see if you had any questions. Are you available for a follow-up meeting on this date or this date? Or here's my HubSpot scheduling link. Pick a day that's great for you. Just want to do a 15-minute intro call. Whatever your process is, there needs to be actions around setting that meeting. So it's a call, LinkedIn message, email, maybe all three, based on the cadence that you've set out and those intervals. So the cadence as a roll-up, just to give you an example cadence, you send the LinkedIn connection. You send the LinkedIn message after they've connected back, and maybe you've even waited a little bit of time just so it doesn't seem so immediate. You have emails in those sequences. You have calls in those sequences. You may be inviting them to an event. You may be having an event, all while they are getting targeted from your marketing team. So again, going back to the targeting part of this ABM intro series, marketing is also wrapping them in content while you're doing the more personalized section of that one-off sales section, that one-off email, offering them some piece of content that is 100% tailored towards them. So that's going to be the example of a cadence in your process. Some of the goals that I see from the cadence, and based on how you want to build that cadence out, it could be short-term, it could be long-term. So short-term goals, and what you'll see if you go download some content from SalesLoft, is really all about setting the meeting. A lot of times they're hitting these prospects hard, they're hitting them fast, they're trying to consolidate everything within a 3 to 5, maybe sometimes 7-day period, but there's a lot of volume at the front. There's also long-term strategies around this that we like to follow, which is really staying front of mind. So you went through that short-term meeting setting section, and maybe you didn't get a response. Well, then they go into the long term where you're staying front of mind. And if you're taking a set of accounts in a given geography and in a given industry, and you're saying this is the only people you can really ever sell to, then you want people to make sure, your sales reps to make sure that they're staying front of mind for those people if they're an outbound style sales rep. They're always keeping that at bay, they're keeping that up to date. They're making sure that the last activity date in the CRM is staying up to date. So those are some of the goals around the short-term and long-term strategy that you can put into place with your sales cadence. In part 6 of the intro to ABM, we're going to talk all about tools and technology. So we look forward to having you join us for the tools and tech section. Thank you.